Hello friends, my name is Koolio and welcome back to the channel. Today guys, we're talking some more Pokemon Masters, and because you guys requested it, I'm putting together my top 3-star Pokemon in Pokemon Masters. Now I decided to go ahead and pick 2 Pokemon from each category. So we got 2 supports, we've got 2 special strikers, 2 physical strikers, and then to be honest, I only ended up picking 1 tech Pokemon on this list, but I've got like 1 or 2 honorable mentions, and I'll explain that a little bit down the line. Now before we get into this list, I gotta preface it by saying there are way better 4 and 5-star Pokemon to use in Pokemon Masters. However, when it came to my decision making on whether or not which Pokemon would make it onto my list, it came down to 2 factors. 1, can the Pokemon help you in your overall account progression, such as leveling up, getting through story content, events, and stuff like that? And 2, whether or not these Pokemon can help with the end game content, specifically EX challenges and co-op and battles and stuff like that. So let's go ahead, and without further ado, we're going to be talking about my 2 picks for the top support Pokemon in the game. The first one I want to talk about is actually one of my personal favorite sync pairs in the game, and that is Lunatone and Lisa. Now the reason why I decided to pick these 2 is because of the 2 trainer skills that they have available. First up is the X Special Defense All, which is incredibly useful, especially against certain bosses or certain co-op battles, as well as in some of these super hard super courses, the very hard super courses that you'll come across. Now, X Special Defense sharply raises the special defense of all allied sync pairs. I cannot tell you how useful this ability was. There were so many times when I first started taking on my very hard super courses that I would get absolutely dominated. But once I threw in Lunatone and started dropping down some X Special Defense All, I was clearing the board. It was so easy. The other one is Of One Mind, which sharply raises the attack and special attack of all allied sync pairs. There are 2 types of attackers in this game, physical and special. So basically, if you're going into co-op, if this is the only Pokemon that you have as a backup support, okay, I'm not saying you should use her, I'm just saying if you happen to have her, she is kind of nice because whether or not your teammates have a physical striker or a special striker, at least you can go in and support them that way. On top of that too, due to the fact that a lot of sync move abilities used by enemies will clear your team of all of your buffs, this one's always kind of nice to have to kind of rebuff up your special attackers or attackers. Now the next support I want to talk about is Skyla and Swanna. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen people recommend Swanna on their team, mainly due to the Take Flight, which is in contrast to Lunatone's, which sharply raises the defense of all allied sync pairs, as well as sharply raises the speed of all allied sync pairs. That is huge. So if you are going up against some kind of very hard super course or some kind of co-op battle or whatever, and you need a little bit of extra defense on your team, as well as a little bit of extra speed to get off as many hits as you want, Swanna is amazing. That sharply raises the defense of all of your teammates, as well as the speed is an incredible skill to have. On top of that, you've also got Potion, which restores a bit of an ally's HP. So if you've got her on your side of the field and you've got a superior that's taking a good amount of damage, throw down a couple of Take Flights, throw down a couple of potions, keep your tank alive. They are fantastic. Like, she is the definition of a great support in this game. Now, the next ones we're going to be talking about strikes. Specifically, let's go ahead and talk about physical strikers. The first one I want to mention on my list is Korrina and Lucario. Now, like I said at the beginning, there are way better physical strikers than Korrina and Lucario in the game. The reason why I want to mention them in this list is because you actually get Lucario just from the story completely for free, and Lucario and Mega Lucario have some pretty decent attack stats, as well as the fact that you can raise the user's attack, as well as drop down some dire hit to sharply raise the user's critical hit rate. Throwing in some close combat, a pretty strong offensive ability. You can use this in sort of that mid-tier progression that you guys may have noticed, where if you're going up against like Brock in the co-op missions and stuff to get the gym leader notes, he is a fantastic Pokemon to have on your team because he's so good to use. He's free to play. You don't have to summon him or anything like that, and he just helps with that sort of mid to end game progression where you have to take that hurdle to start getting those gym leader notes. So that's the reason why I put Mega Lucario and Lucario on this list. The next one I want to talk about is going to be Bugsy and Beedrill. Now, Beedrill is a pretty decent attacker, but once you drop down to Mega Beedrill, he becomes extremely strong. But he does have the caveat of he doesn't become that useful until you drop him down as a Mega Beedrill. However, he does have a couple of decent moves to really power him up. Now, Behold My Research raises the user's speed, which is important if you're going to be an attacker to try to get off as many attacks as possible, as well as drastically raises the user's evasiveness. So not only are you increasing his speed, making it so he can attack more often, but you also make it possible for him to dodge a few attacks as well, so he can, stay in the fight a little bit longer, which is useful for the fact that he's got pretty low defense and special defense. He's also got a sure crit, which ensures that the user's next attack will be a critical hit, which again, like there are a lot of great moves like Dire Hit that increases your chances of critting. This one makes sure that Beetle crits his attacks. And then on top of that, his Fell Stinger is a really interesting ability because it drastically raises the user's attack when it knocks out a target with this move. So Mega Beetle I could honestly see being used as sort of a backup or a secondary attacker to attack people, to attack the units on the left or right of boss battles. But as of right now, he's not that useful when it comes to the EX battles. I'm assuming maybe down the line when we get a type advantage moving forward, Mega Beedrill and Beedrill are going to become that much more important. But they are definitely a great physical striker. Now let's go ahead and move on to the special strikers. This one was actually kind of hard to decide on. However, the first one I'm going to talk about is Barry and Piplup, specifically Barry and Empoleon. They've got a pretty decent special attack, but not only that, they've also got the ability through Bubble to attack all opponents, lowering their speed, as well as the ability to remove all status conditions from an ally. So not only can you throw him down and get a couple of decent special attacks from him, along with his water typing, but you can also kind of support your allies on the side. Now, no hesitation sharply raises the user's speed and raises the user's critical hit rate. Again, the higher your speed is, the higher your crit rate, the faster you can burst damage your opponents. On top of that, he's got the Power Flux 5. The fuller the move gauge, the more this powers up move. So using him alongside Superior makes him a great Pokemon to just go through, smash a lot of, the enemies and stuff. But to be honest, he's probably going to be a Pokemon you're going to use mainly for the progression of your account, clearing like super hard, super courses and stuff like that. Maybe not so much in the end game content. Again, there are a lot better 4 and 5 stars for the end game content. And then the other one, now this was actually pretty difficult because there isn't a whole lot of special strikers in this game. There's Barry, there's Price and Seal, and then the only other one is Koolio, well, your trainer and Pikachu. So I decided to go with Pikachu because Pikachu definitely has the higher of the special attacks, along with the sharply raises the user's special attack and which raises the user's speed as well. Those two together, along with Thunderbolt and Thundershock, can drop down a decent amount of damage, especially if you can kind of pile it up with the Thunder of the Newfound Passion, which is the sync move. But again, not the best special striker in the game. There's a lot better special strikers out there. But you guys asked, and this is my pick for the top special striker when it comes to the 3 stars. Now the last ones we're going to be talking about is the Tech Roll. Now I actually only decided to pick one Tech Pokemon for this because a lot of these guys are very situational based, and there isn't a lot of content in the game right now that really relies heavily on their status conditions, because a lot of them drop down their status conditions. Now there are a few that I want to do honorable mentions. Bryson and Krogonal for the fact that he can drop down Haze and it returns the raise stats of all opposing sync pairs to normal. However, in the EX battle challenges that we have right now, you actually can't lower their stats, so that's not very useful at all. The other one I thought was kind of interesting, even though this is just an honorable mention, but I figured I'd let you guys know because it's kind of fun. Voltorb and Lieutenant Surge. They've got X speed, they've also got a Surge of Power which sharply raises the user's special attack and evasiveness. Again, great buffs. But also his passive ability, Last Word. The Pokemon uses Explosion immediately before fainting. I don't know if that's good. I thought it was kind of funny, so I figured I'd include this in this video. But my one pick for the Tech Pokemon actually comes down to Janine and Ariados. Now the reason why I decided to pick them is because they've got a really great status condition in Poisoning, but they can also continually stack on top of that Poisoning. So basically they've got Cross Poison, which critical hits land more easily and has a very small chance of leaving the target poisoned. However, her passive ability, Hostile Environment 1, raises the chance of inflicting status conditions with the additional effects of moves. So even though there's a small chance of poisoning, her Hostile Environment bumps that up, so there is a higher chance of poisoning the enemy. Now once you got the enemy poisoned, you can drop down some Venom Drench, which lowers the target's attack, special attack, and speed if the target is poisoned or badly poisoned. Fells if the target is not poisoned or badly poisoned. So if you can get the target poisoned, this would be a great Pokemon I think would work very well in a lot of super courses, specifically when the enemy starts buffing themselves up. If you can poison them, you can end up lowering their attack and special attack, which is, you know, in the reverse of Swanna as well as Lunatone, kind of wrapped up into one. So rather than raising the special and physical defense, you're dropping the attack and special attack. So that's the reason why I picked Ariados and Janine. They've also got Move Like the Wind, sharply raises the user's speed and evasiveness, making it really hard for them to attack Ariados, but also makes it so she can attack more often. And then Dire Hit, which sharply raises the user's critical hit rate. So there you guys go. Those are my picks for the top 3-star Pokemon in the game. Again, there's a lot better Pokemon out there, but you guys requested it, and so there they are right there. And some of them can be very useful as of right now, specifically the support ones, but I can honestly see down the line other Pokemon becoming a lot more useful when we get different events and updates moving forward. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date in the latest with Pokemon Masters. Hey friends, I'll see you next time.